He promised people paradise and sent them to their deaths. Good evening. It's May 2nd, 2018. I'm John Lasota, and you're in the garage. With me tonight, Walt Campos. Say hello, Walt.
Hello, what's going on? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Nothing
So,
much.
I came across this little lovely piece of information here. Yeah, in 1822, this guy named Gregor MacGregor, who was a descendant of Scottish hero Rob Roy, which means he's actually related to me.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, that's according to the family folklore. That doesn't mean that's just what they used to say. Anyway, so this guy fought for Venezuela in their battle of independence, and he scammed 250 poor Scottish people into sailing to a paradise called Poye, I guess it's called. So they get there, and when they get there, they was promised all this livestock and all these roaming animals and beaches and beautiful soil, all this wonderful shit. Thousands of residents in the huts and stuff, and you're in the village. So these people, they take the journey from Scotland all the way to Venezuela. I'm sure that's not an easy trip.
No.
And so they get there, and it's a shithole. There's like two broken down shacks. There's no food. The soil is shit. You can't grow anything there. And there's the natives are fucked up, hostile, fucking. So pretty much most of them died. The dude, this guy McGregor, right? He raised 200,000 pounds doing it, which is about $25 million today. And the worst part is that he scammed them, and he could have left them, but he could have bounced, and he would have had their money, and they would have been stuck broke, with losing their whole life savings. But they would have gone on a ship all the way across the world and fucking starve to death and get killed by natives. But he sent them anyway. He let them go anyway. And then other ships followed them. And when they heard about the British Navy had to stop them and turn them back because they were going to their deaths, right? So, but then this guy got caught in France doing the exact same thing, and he got off.
Wow.
He had a history of scamming people all over the world, and then he went back to Venezuela as a conquering hero, and he died a hero.
Oh, that's insane.
That's fucking crazy, right?
That is insane. Why hasn't there been a movie about this guy? Has there been a movie about this guy?
I don't know, but there should be. There absolutely should be. Well, this is something that and why I want to use it today too, because you're into the same kind of stuff that Have you read the Robert Greene stuff, 48 Laws of Power?
I don't think so.
Oh man, you got it, fucking Robert Greene. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, something like that. The Art of Seduction is a good one, and
that one sounds familiar. Familiar.
And there's another one called Mastery that I just that I picked up. That he's good. He does all these books that he uses events from history as context to show you how certain laws work and like social dynamic laws work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, this one, there's a book called Hoax, A History of Deception. It features 50 tales of fraud and cons throughout history. So these got to be like fucking crazy things. Like, holy fuck, you believe that happened? Kind of shit.
Right.
So I thought that'd be an interesting way to start the show with you in particular tonight. Imagine that. Imagine you're in the fucking. I mean, to put it into context now, imagine somebody invented, oh yeah, let's go to Mars. You can settle on Mars now. There's Mars colonies, and and you spend all this money. You want to start a new life and scratch your fucking way out of the land on the Mars colony because you can make a living there. You get there, and there's nothing there. There's not even an atmosphere. You just shrivel up and die horribly.
Right.
That
would be the equivalent, right?
It would, right? Yeah, that's fucked. Yeah,
exactly. That's,
how much?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, unless you're the guy you fucking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a way to cut down the surplus population. It's like that Twilight episode. Fucking,
natural selection.
Yeah, I guess somebody's selecting anyway. But
Well, these con artists, let's call them con artists, right? That's how they view the world. I mean, they view the world as like, well, it's just natural selection, and the that's the means to an end, right? So take for example, like a really good case was that guy Frank Abagnale, the the guy that that movie was about,
Catch me if you can. Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can.
When did I concur?
The real guy is impressive as fuck. All of the cons that he did, and he was only like 18, 19 when he was doing that stuff, and he was just escaping police, and ending up in Paris, ending up in God knows where. And what's interesting about him now is he's got like a whole conscience thing going for him. He's like 70 something years old, and he actually helps the FBI and the CIA catch other people that are like him.
That's kind of what that movie was. That's what they ended it with. That movie. But
so he's really proud of his work with law enforcement these days.
Now that's only like 50 years ago, and I know people like 30 years ago who would do similar type of things. Run similar type of scams and made a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I think about fucking 1822. What fucking
forget it.
Nobody knew anything in 1822. Nobody knew anything about anything. It was just like this mystery out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could fuck.
They probably think he was like multiplying fish. You know what I'm saying? So
How much did that happen? How often did that happen? That some fucking guy did some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're kind of tempted to do it though, because I mean, you're also talking about a time when you had to have 8 kids if you wanted them to live.
Right. Yeah.
You want to carry on a family line. You need to have fucking 15 sons, and 3 of them have kids of their own. Live old enough to have 3 kids of their own.
Right.
And
some of them. Some of them were going to die of something. Yeah.
Right. So, and that's if you could afford to have kids, because most people couldn't. Most dudes couldn't. Most dudes never had a kid because they were fucking. They had syphilis because they had to bang prostitutes.
Right. Yeah. And that, I mean, we take so much for granted. I mean, now you could take a shot or something and clear that up, and back in the day, your days were numbered if that happened to you. You know what I'm saying?
If you had a cheese coming out of your cock, you were fucked like that.
You had a Singapore dick slug coming out of your whatever.
That's disgusting.
So, it's really amazing what we've done as a society in the last like 50 years, let's say. Like things are really like just compounded, and like it's really moving quickly now. And we're almost evolving too quickly right now.
I don't want to throw any kind of numbers out there because I don't know them for sure. But there is a insane amount of people that come out of poverty every year across the world, and like record numbers, like crazy, like where 30 years ago you wouldn't have thought that something like this was even possible kind of numbers.
Right.
And that's every year people coming out of poverty. So a lot of what's going on is lifting people up. Now, part of that though is that we have more people going into poverty. Well, we really don't. Statistically, we don't. Here, people, if you're people in poverty are people that don't work. Statistically, that's just true.
Right. And a lot of them are doing better than most people are in other countries. So,
right.
So it's relative, yeah.
Right. Now, like you're talking about places that 10 years ago didn't have running toilets, and now they have toilets.
Right.
Kind of shit. You know what I mean? But still, I mean, we take that for granted. There's fucking towns in this world that people don't have fucking running toilets.
Right. Or lights, electricity,
right. And there's a lot of places like that.
Yeah.
So, but imagine being sent to one and getting killed and eaten by the natives.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you paid your entire life's fortune to do it. Your entire life savings, you paid them to do it. Yeah, wow. Here it is. I'll buy a piece of paradise.
Wow. Yeah.
You got to read Robert Greene, dude.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
I'm
I'm gonna check
surprised
his
you
works
haven't
out.
already. Mastery is a
Yeah,
good one. You like that. Takes
yeah.
10,000 hours of practice to fucking be a master at something.
I've
10,000
heard of
hours.
that. I've heard of that whole thing. I've heard of arguments for it. I've heard of arguments trying to debunk that. I've heard all sorts of stuff. But I've heard that. I've heard the 10,000 hours thing my whole life. So I've as a guitar player, I've definitely done way past that.
What
But
is 10,000 hours?
10,000 hours really isn't that long, believe it or not, when you think about it.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know. It doesn't sound like it. Hold on. Let me see what if I can.
yeah, because I think we have about 168 hours a week, right?
It's 400 days, 416 days.
Yeah, yeah. If you think
But
about it, that's not that. Yeah,
well, I don't know because yeah, it's not that long, right? It's not that long, but you're doing for 416 days straight when you're doing nothing else and you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're not
hmm
shitting, you're not fucking bathing, you're not doing anything else but whatever that
right,
thing is.
right, right.
To do anything straight for 416 days without fucking taking a
Yeah,
shit
hmm
is a long fucking time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The let me put it to you this way. Um, um, let's just take what I did as far as practicing guitar when I was a teenager. Those 416 days were probably, I would say, easily okay. And I'm being really modest here when I say that it was probably about 8 hours a day. So just the sheer numbers, those it's 416 days. Multiply that by three, so it's maybe about 4 years. In about 4 years, I became that sort of, according to this, I became that expert that is that is in that mastery book. Um, and it's really far less than that because from like 16 to 18, which was a year and a half, I was already auditioning in a university to be a music major. So I was already thinking I was good enough to do that. Now, part of that was like my own naivete because I was probably too stupid to know any better. But I definitely impressed some people. So when you think about it, if you think about that just alone, it's less. It's actually even less than 10,000 hours. To put yourself out there. Now, maybe you're not a so-called expert, but you're on your way. You're probably better than 95% of the people that are out there. Because you're so passionate about it and you're trying so hard, and this is like you already know that this is your life's goal. So you're already past most of the people that are ever going to try it. You know and then you're
Let's
in this pool of like
it's
people who
true.
are doing their thing, and you're competing with them.
Let's say okay, look, there's 24 hours in a day, right? You take out
Yeah,
8 hours for sleep. Let's look at it from a normal perspective. 24 hours
right.
a day. You take out
Yeah,
8 hours for sleep, so you got 16 hours left, right?
yeah,
Give yourself a hour breakfast break and an hour lunch break and an hour dinner break, right?
right.
So you take 3 hours out,
Yeah.
13 hours, okay, and then take out one more hour just for if you have to go to the post office that day. Shit
Right,
like
right,
that.
right. Yeah, yeah,
12 hours, so half the day. You have
yeah.
12 hours, so a full half the day because I mean you're sleeping for 8 hours of that, and then the other part you're eating and shitting, showering, that kind of thing. Maybe you're lucky you get your dick played with a little bit. You know,
You need
so
time
in
for that
12
just to
hours,
clear your head, right?
exactly. So if reasonably you can still get a night's sleep and feed yourself and fucking function properly and maybe a little exercise and maybe a little hanky panky, um, and you could have 12 hours to work on something, right?
Right,
It would be, I mean, double the 416. It'd be 833 days,
right,
which is 2.25 years, 2.28 years. So two and a quarter
right,
years. Okay.
right.
So it's 24, 27 months.
Yeah,
Okay. If you did nothing but sleep and eat and shit and do this thing every single day for 27 months, for 2 years and 3 months, and you weren't good at it, you fucking suck.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, like
Exactly.
you
Right. Right.
you suck at life. Like what are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
If you
Right.
got to
Right.
do
Right.
nothing but that
Yeah.
consistently, like that's what you did all the fucking time.
Yeah. 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 Think about this. You know, all these little prodigies. You know, a lot of what I talk about is going to go back to music because that's what I know. But like all of these little prodigies of like piano playing, like I'm sure you've seen them. You've seen them on YouTube, right? You know, these the parents will stick their 4 or 5 year old and make them practice. You know, of course, some of it has to be their own passion, but they're sitting there practicing for that amount of time, and that's all they do, and they have the time to do it, and
Well,
they're
you
put and
you
they're
have to you have to be passionate, because if you're not passionate, you'll never be good at anything
yeah
if you're not passionate about it, because you
yeah
won't
yeah.
take the time to do it, and you need
You
to
won't
take
take this right, right. You know, practicing won't necessarily give you the passion, but passion will give you will give you the
yeah,
practicing. It'll give you the
100%.
fuel. It will give you the fuel to do the practicing.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah.
Without that, you're not going to do any of the work, and all of it is work, no matter what anybody. Because again, it's climbing a hierarchy. If you always think about things about climbing, like climbing a hill, right? And you want to be on the top of the hill. Well, there's people ahead of you on the top. Oh, you know what I mean? And if you want to
Right.
get ahead of them in the hill, you got to walk a little faster. You got to work a little harder. You got to push them down a little bit. Trip somebody.
Right.
But if you want to get to the top of the hill, only so many people can get up to that top of the hill. So you have to be able to perform better than everybody else to be able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And you're
Exactly.
not going to ever get there by not, but in order to get to those levels, you have to be passionate about whatever it is, because it is hard work. There's nothing that's easy.
Right. Right.
But what I like, I'm listening to Peterson all the time, right? He like T-shirts and everything else. It's crazy. I gotta get some of these things. I'll actually wear them during the show.
Awesome. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's great. He's great. But he put out this case, like, and I actually had my wife play this for my wife yesterday. I'm listening to him do the biblical thing now, right? The biblical series that he did on what the
Yeah.
Bible is, and that's just basically it's a psychological map how to navigate the world, right? And in his new book, though, he has a book in there, basically that says, if kids are skateboarding, leave them alone. Don't stop kids from skateboarding. And what he's saying is, like, we have a natural tendency to worry about our kids not wanting to split their head open. But you
Right.
have to
Right.
let them practice doing things where they might split their head open, because life
Right.
is gonna split their head open. So they have to fucking, it's what life is what they're doing when they're doing that, something that can kill them, is that they're
Right.
pushing against danger. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're pushing their limits against danger. And life is danger. You're surrounded by danger every moment, and you have to push against it. You have to fight against whatever that is, and so
That'll ensure your survival. Yeah.
right. And so once you start getting your mind into that mindset that no matter what everybody could be kumbaya and nice and whatever they want, but it literally is you against the world. It doesn't mean you have to be against other people. It doesn't mean you have to be in competition. It doesn't mean you have to be combative with people. But it is you against life. It's you against the world. I mean, that's what life is. Life is you're getting your ass kicked. You're going to hurt,
Right.
but you need to hurt right back.
Absolutely. To me, like, we love baseball, obviously, because we've talked about it all our lives, right? I consider baseball to be the most like life. Okay.
Stanton hit 2 home runs, by the way.
Did he find?
He hit 2 home runs today.
That's great, man. That's great because like that's great. Like, well, last night they won 4-0 also. So today they won 4-0. That's awesome. That's awesome. And they could have easily won the first game and they just lost because they got outpitched. But that's great, man. They're on some streak, and I'm glad Stanton's waking up a little bit.
He'll pull. Anyway,
so what I was saying was, we've had many a conversation about this, but exactly what you were saying before about you against life, it's you against the world. Baseball's kind of like that, because what's happening? You step up at bat, It's you against a defense, right?
Yeah.
You're one, and it's really at that moment, it's really 9 against 1.
You get right. It is.
You know, so it's kind of representative. It represents what life is when it's coming at you. You know, sometimes you can. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a team game full of individual challenges.
Right. Right.
And life is like that because, like what we're trying to do, we mentioned this a lot in our conversations, but in a lot of maybe the shows, but definitely in our past shows, that your support system means everything.
Yeah.
A positive support system that pushes you will carry you to the next level, and you'll do well.
Right.
A negative poor support system that rips you down or doesn't support you, you know, you're not going to get any traction. You need
exactly
people.
Right.
You're social people. You need people to carry on. You need social proof. Otherwise, without social proof is everything. Without social proof, you're nothing. You know, and it's something. It's a phenomenon that you need. You know, no matter what you know, if you get stoned to death because people don't fucking like you because you're a dick, it doesn't matter what you know. It's useless. It's irrelevant because nobody's gonna listen to you anyway.
Right. Exactly.
You know, so fucking. Where was I going with
that? Don't you hate when that happens, right?
I hate that. Me and my tirades.
When, like, you know, for example, you were bringing up Stanton, you know, kind of waking up a little bit from his slump. You could hit the ball on the screws, okay? And it might be a line drive. It might get caught. That's a lot like life. You could do everything right, and for some reason, it's not going to work out. But you keep doing the right thing, okay? Stanton keeps doing the right thing, keeps the technique, the drive, or the motion of his swing. If it's correct, it'll eventually work out. If you continue to do the right thing, if you continue to take the right approach, you're going to get ahead because it's bound to happen. Because more often than not, it's going to work out for you. You know. The law of averages, okay, so for a ball player, you know, you're a great hitter if you're hitting, you know, if you're getting a hit 30% of the time, if you're getting on base 40% of the time, you're considered great, right? So how does that equate to life? Well, in life, maybe there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of negative things that are coming at you. There's a lot of things that you know, might keep you down. But if you stay within that minimal percentage, that 30%, that 40%, you're doing better than most people. You are doing better than most people in this world. If you're at that 30% where things are working out for you, you know, you're there. You're doing very well for yourself.
I made Scotty a guarantee, and this is kind of considering how hard it is to get that social proof and to get, you know, for people to raise you on up.
Right.
But I think this is a pretty solid guarantee. They say that 86% of all books fail. Like the way that you bring up music, bring things back to music all the time, I'll bring it up to either sports or writing, you know, because those are the things I know.
Right.
But they say that 86% of all books fail. What that means, though, that means 1 in 10 are going to succeed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We have 3 books out right now, and they're pretty good, but they're, you know, hard to get people to pay attention, you know?
Right.
So I told him that if we get up to that 10 and we're still doing this show by the time we get up to that 10, I guarantee we're going to, you know, one of those books is going to latch on. We're going to catch something.
Right.
Now, that does take doing 10 books, and it does take doing this show for all that long.
Right.
It could be, you know, I don't know how many hours of mastery that is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But hey, man, if the laws of, you know, I'm a by the numbers guy for the most part. You know, I do have like a gut instinct too, and believe it or not, gut instinct is actually that can be you can quantify that. Believe it or not, if you try,
quantify that?
You can believe it or not. If you, it's just a longer equation. You know, that's all it is. You know, but everything can be quantified in some way or another. So, so what I was saying is that, you know, for the most part, you know, I tend to think that way. And if the law of averages says that it's 1 in 10, then, you know, we got to get to 1 in 10, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So, you know, what's stopping us to get from that 1 to 10? So, you know, so let's do it, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I look at it too is that if you're what would that take? I mean, we haven't put a book out in 2 years, but I mean, if you got into a good role, like if you got a good, like right now we're mapping everything out, and we're doing it based on a lot of archetype stuff and a lot of Peterson's work and a lot of like stuff, the actual statistics of how the world is and what the world is really is, like what religion is supposed to be, that map to guide you through consciousness and stuff like that. And by the way, I'm going to curb myself because I can get on some Marcus Aurelius shit right now and get real like into some philosophical void, really bad tangent. So
That's
I'm
okay.
going to try to curb myself. Yeah, and I
Okay.
also will go through those tangents and I forget where I am and what I was talking about in the first place.
Right,
And
right,
that's no good. But if you map out, if you map out where you want to go with your stuff, right, and you know
right,
what the next 10 things are that you're going to write, you can start picking them off. And if you were to do that and then write it as a screenplay first and then start adding prose like that, we could probably put out a book every 3 months, which is
right,
4 books in a year.
right, right, right,
We still need 7, so that's still 2 years,
right,
and
right,
that's if you're putting out a book every 3 months.
right, right.
If we're doing this for 2 years and we have 10 books in 2 years, we were still doing the show, we have 10 books out. At least one of those is going to do. I can be confident and say that because
Right,
you're constantly advertising the stuff. Stuff's constantly going out there. Eventually, you're going to get somebody. And
right.
have you seen the show Jersey Boys? The movie.
I've heard about it, but like I've heard that it's like really good when it was on Broadway. I don't think it's still there, but I've
They have a
heard
movie
about it.
too.
But yeah,
It has
it's
a movie
like
too.
it's
Frankie
like
Valley.
Frankie Valley, right? Yeah,
Yeah. There are a lot of movies like that. Where the fuck do these fuckers come from? This is the story of these assholes right here, right? A lot of movies about assholes. And
best kind of stories.
yeah, well, why would you tell it otherwise?
Yeah.
You believe what this fucking asshole did right here? But there's always that one person that comes along and brings it all together. Always in all these stories, just one group member joins the group, one manager fucking saw them, one fucking dumb shit like that. You know what I mean? One guy got kicked out of the band for doing something dumb, and so they don't need him anymore. And they're doing better without him. There's always some crazy shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you just got to do it long enough for that thing to happen. It's like the 3 Feet from Gold story. Right. Yeah, you just got to keep digging along until that comes up. And if it doesn't, you're fucked. But what do you do? At least you tried.
Do you have do you have some stories in your file that that's come that you're kind of working on that you can put out? Is there any brainstorming happening? Or
I have one story that it's actually pretty fucking good.
Right.
I have one story that's good that's already done. I have one that I wrote that I wanted to write since I don't know, for 20 years I wanted to write this, and I finally wrote it, and it's shit. It's not good. But at least I wrote it, and I could fix it if I want to go back to it. And if I don't, I'll do that if I start going on this storyline, but it has nothing to do with most of the bulk of what I write about. Right. All the storylines we're doing, me and Sky, you're doing, it has nothing to do with it. So I actually have a way to tie it in, time travel type shit, but multi-dimensional, multi-universe type stuff. But
sweet.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go that avenue. I want to build these other things first.
Mm-hmm.
I have, because I was writing a lot at one point. I was writing a lot, so I have shit in files all over the place that I wrote and probably never used, and I have a bunch of shit all over the place. Some of it I can't use, but you'll have a nugget in it that I can pull from that.
Mm-hmm.
And we are consciously building things. A couple weeks ago we had that thing, the one where we just went over the what is life thing, the meaning of life episode that we did, right? And one thing that the thing that we're using as the guiding light in what we're doing is every society that you're in is a hierarchy, right? whether
Right.
it's high school or your family or your job. It's a hierarchy. There's a boss, and then there's the managers under the boss, and then the owner, and then the manager, and then the managers under the manager, and then everybody they tell what to do, whatever it is, And there's certain things you have to do to get above to get that promotion. And if you want to be the top of it, you have to do certain things, right? But it's not just your job, but it's also your home and your I don't know, your bowling team after work, whatever the fuck it
Right.
is, and it's
Right.
all those things, your church, and it's all those things at the same time. And you have to have your behavior. Like now, you could be the type of person that at work you act like a fucking dick, and it gets you ahead at work. But in these other areas, nobody wants to be around you, so it drops you down in the hierarchy. You know what it is, and the goal
Right.
is to have your behavior consistently get you raise you on all of them at the same time,
Right. Right.
and that's what
So
what that religion is.
there's a balance happening, and it's like, there. So that's kind of quantifiable too, because if you're a 10 here and you're a 2 here, then you're just a 6, right? So
Well, now Peterson has said, and I don't know if he believes this, but I've heard him say this because of the mastery, because of the time in, because of
mhm,
10,000 hours, right?
mhm,
That most people are about a 6 or 7, because to get, again, if you're making a lot of money, you have to work a lot of hours to do that. But if you're working a lot of hours to make a lot of money, that means you're neglecting other parts of your life. You can't live a balanced life doing that.
right.
And so if
Right.
like if everything is about living a balanced life, then you only
Mhm,
have enough time to put into everything to make everything a 6,
right. Right.
unless you only do one thing and your whole life is about
Right.
that one thing that you're passionate about, and then you put the 10,000 hours in because it's all you ever do,
Right.
But that's the
It
price you pay, is you give up everything else.
it makes sense because if you take into account the entire universe, man, everything around you, and that means every single little thing, like the entire universe being what it is, then you magnify it down and you say, okay, well, here's a certain group of people, and let's say that's another type of universe, and then there's you, the individual. This is another type of universe. Everything that's going on in your world is your universe, right? All of those things have something in common. Just like with baseball, let's go back to baseball. When all of the teams, right, which are like 30 teams, right, or 32 teams, I don't remember anymore. It's like 32 teams or 30 teams. When they're all playing, so at the end of the year, 50% of the games are won, 50% of the games are lost.
Yep.
That's how it works. That's how it
Yep.
works. Doesn't matter who the juggernaut team that wins the entire thing, or that wins 115 games that year, or whatever. That means somebody else lost something, similar to that. Who's, as good as this team is, there's a team that's in the shitter in
They
that
have to be.
same, that's how it works.
Right.
So now in your life, your individual life, there has to be something kind of like that in your life, where you've got something way up here that you're doing on a level that is in that 99th percentile or whatever it is. And then at the same time, there's something that you need help in. There's something that just isn't quite right, that you have to get in order, and that you need help in, and that you haven't been working out with. And it's that mirror image of that thing, and it don't, of course, it depends on how you're looking at it, but it stands to reason that how you look at your life is the relative it's all relative, and and that's the important part, is how you see yourself. So, not to get all philosophical, all right, not to get all philosophical about that, but it starts with you.
That's actually okay, because this is where this show is going, and
Right.
I kind of appreciate that. I was actually just
Yeah.
thinking, we've used one topic. I think we've been on for probably at least a half an hour now already.
There you
on
go.
One topic.
There you
And
go.
it led into some good stuff, some good conversation. I don't mind
Yeah.
it.
And we can do that because this is genuine. That's what happens when something's genuine. All you need is one topic.
Incongruence.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had to get back into doing it. Well, as I was saying, though, originally you asked me the question about, if we were doing stuff. We are leaning everything on the premise of who is this character? Everybody has, and I done it the wrong way. I shouldn't say the wrong way, but I've done it where like people write where they want to tell a story about something. They want a theme, okay, and the theme is you need to save the planet, but they have a theme and they want to write a story about it, right?
Right, right,
Or they think about some crazy thing that happens and they want to have it make sense, so they write a
right,
story around that, and that's
right,
I tend to write stuff like that, right? But we decided to focus on the characters themselves, make all the stuff purely character driven, right? Say you have the
right.
Mad Dozer, or we have a character, Charles McMahon, who's a kingpin, but nobody knows it. Kind of like Kingpin in Spider-Man. Or only he's more known. This guy never really gets known. He's more like Sam Spade in Maltese Falcon. But
Gotcha.
he is okay. So you take any character, right? This guy, he makes a fortune selling a designer drug. So he's a smart guy. He worked with a lab professor. He worked with a chemist. They made a designer drug, and they made a ton of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he also grew up in a mob neighborhood that's on the border of a neighborhood where there's a fucking black gangs all over the place, right? So he has a mob influence, and he has the influence of kids that grew up in the fucking gang neighborhood. But he kind of walks between both of them. But he's real smart, and he fucking invented this fucking thing, right? But there's different hierarchies, though. What hierarchies is he in? Okay, he has his his drug business, but then he also has his home life at home where nobody knows who he is. He's just a regular Momo in the fucking neighborhood. But for him, it's by design.
Right.
So what are your hierarchies? What is your job? What do you do for a living? Where's your role in your neighborhood? What's the role in your team or your group of friends or whatever it is, your hobbies, whatever it is. So this character, what are the different societies that he's in? What is the hierarchy in each of these societies? Where does he fit in that hierarchy?
Right. Right.
Does he want to go up the hierarchy? Does he want to stay status quo? Is he just trying to keep his place? Or is he forced to try to push other people down the hierarchy?
Right.
And what behaviors and the type of hierarchy and this what behaviors it takes to climb the hierarchy tells you what kind of society that you're living in.
Right.
Or that you're currently in. So what behaviors does it take for him to climb that hierarchy? And you have to do that across each thing.
Right.
When you took a character and you said, okay, what are the societies? Basically, what are the things he does and who does he do them with? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Where does he fit into each of those levels, each of those groups? Where does he want to be in each of those groups? And what does he have to do to get to where he wants to be in each of those groups? And that pretty much is going to tell you who everybody is. And it's going to be true.
Yeah,
it's going to be true to like what a human being, what a person would do.
Right.
And if you take each character and you map out each character with that, right? And your story is about their interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Just like life is about our interactions when we're trying to climb our own personal hierarchies.
Right. Yeah, man. Fascinating.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
If you really want to make it even crazier, right? The only other thing that you could do to make it crazier, right, is to take each of those characters, right, and write the stories from their perspective, right?
Right.
Interacting with characters that you have in other books, but in the other books, you're telling it from a different character's perspective.
Right.
And you have certain points that it's in, like in chapter 2 of this person's story, but in chapter 7 of this person's story, it's the same scene.
Right.
But it's done from their point of view. So it's the same scene, but it goes completely differently in each one of the things. But it's the same scene, and they're in it together, but they're seeing the world a different way. Or maybe they're seeing it the same way.
Right.
You could really make it fucking crazy if you did that.
Absolutely. There's like a TV show that does that on Showtime. It's called The Affair.
Huh.
Did you ever see that?
No,
it's pretty it's pretty much like that, because there's these two people and they each have their perspective of the same story.
Yeah.
And one of them's telling it one way, the other one's telling it another way, and they're telling it to a police officer, you know, but there's a lot of discrepancies in the story, so you don't know if someone's lying, you know, because there's so many different details. So it might seem that one of them is lying, but so it's interesting how they do that. And even like there's movies like did you ever see Go? Did you ever see the movie
I actually
Go?
like that movie. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's little bits of that where, you know, these different stories connect, and then you see the opposite perspective of vantage point. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I bought this for like $1. It's still wrapped in a wrapper. And I bought the thing is that I bought it specifically because of that, because in case I ever wanted to do that, then I, you know, just whenever I'm writing a character, like if I'm writing an assassin, how are you going to get a lot of fucking research on assassins? How many assassins do you know they're going to invite you over and tell you what they do and how they do it?
No, exactly. You gotta see movies. You gotta read other books. You gotta that's the only way to do it.
You have to go, but you have to find as much bullshit as you can possibly find, and hope to get out the stuff that's most realistic, but it's probably still bullshit.
Right.
And hope that nobody calls you out on it.
Right. And if they do, that's great, because now you actually know what it's about, and now you know the true story. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on, we have a technical glitch here. I stole the headphones that have the proper plug for the iPhone. So you know, watching shows is difficult without making sound. But that's totally my fault, though. That's what happens. Sometimes in the middle of the night, you have to listen to lectures by geniuses, and you don't want to wake up your wife, and you forget that you've done it.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah, so friggin' you want to keep going? I don't know. We're pretty much like 40 minutes in.
Right.
You know, it's funny because like I have a ton of stories. I mean, we have probably in the queue. I'm talking about for the show, not for the things that I'm writing. By the way, also, too, another thing that anybody that jumps in, we're going to map everything out first, but anybody that jumps in, we give writing credit to for sales and shit like that if we get any.
Right.
So if stuff clears up for you and there's certain stories like, oh, that would be cool, I would like to write that one. You know, let me know. I'll make the outlines readily available. So if there's something that you see that you might want to do, you want to take a hack at, you know, let me know.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. Like we do. I probably have like 15 stories laid out, so we can go any direction. And we went 40 minutes on one, and really only the first couple of minutes was actually the story itself. So that's not so bad.
No, not at all.
I am going to get this one in here anyway. And it's not the boobs one. We can start that at another time.
Okay.
But there's a postcard. They auctioned off a postcard by Jack the Ripper. It's probably the last one that he wrote. It was just a couple of days before he killed his last victim. And the thing is, it says in there it was delivered to the police station on August 29th, 1888. It says, and it said on there, "Beware, there is 2 women I want here. They are bastards, and I mean to have them. My knife is still in good shape. It is a student's knife, and I hope you like the half a kidney. I am Jack the Ripper." Like eerie stuff. I mean, those things are like, have you ever read those letters?
Yeah, man. Is it consistent with the From Hell letter and the?
Yeah. No, it's definitely Jack the Ripper. It's I mean, it's an original letter. Oh, by the way, they're only expecting to get like $800 to $1,200 for it. Which, if I was the type of person that had that, well, you know what though? You don't want to know the truth. I wouldn't want to own that thing. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that thing, because to me that is like touching evil. That's like bringing evil into your house. It's like having that Annabelle fucking doll and giving it to your kids.
If you ever bought something like that, you'd have to encase it in something just to keep the evil away from you, like kind of incubated. You know what I mean? So just to feel that you were safe from that kind of shit. You know,
there's definitely some fucking powerful mojo in there, and it's not the kind you want.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but the I mean, it's interesting. It is an interesting piece of history. You read those letters; they're fucked up. You feel
I know,
dirty
I
reading them.
know.
You feel evil. But there's a businessman that he bought a bloody shawl from one of the victims and did a DNA test on there, and so he thinks it was a Polish immigrant that died in an insane asylum.
I've heard
That
about that. Yeah,
but
I've heard about that.
a lot of experts, though, a lot of serial killer experts think it was actually H. Holmes, who was the most
Right,
prolific American serial
right.
killer.
Exactly, exactly. What's interesting about that, and getting back to the Polish immigrant guy, these girls were call girls or hookers.
Right.
So the Polish immigrant just could have been a client.
So, right. Exactly.
So that's the thing. And the H. Holmes thing is really intriguing because the handwriting, which is what they went back to with the handwriting. If you can you can actually see it with the naked the naked eye, that it's like clear as day. You can see that it's similar.
I kind of got
Now,
to
what
look
is
at that
that?
now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what does that really mean? Well, does it mean that he killed? That it's the same guy? Well, at the very least, it means that he wrote a letter.
Yeah.
That he wrote a letter as Jack the Ripper. And would
Well,
he be fucked up enough to do that?
the
Yeah, he
timeline,
would be
though.
fucked up enough
See,
to do that.
the thing is, the timeline adds up. I think they said that he was actually in England at the
He
time.
was he was in England. What they say is that they found proof that he took while he was building that big castle, that big home by the Death House right by the World's Fair. While he was doing that, he would have the people build the house, and then he would go on a trip. And they found that he took a cruise to England around that time. So he was there. He was there. So so they tried to line up. Could he have made it back in time? Could he have done that? So that's all a little bit muddy. But the point is that he did take a trip around that time in 1888 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and he also had medical training, I believe.
And he had medical training. Yeah, absolutely. And I think they were both left-handed, right? If I'm not mistaken, they were both left-handed, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah.
There was specifically a reason why I wanted to get that in there was because of the H. Holmes thing, though.
Right.
Because
right.
yeah, I mean, it is disturbing, and I have I believe in karma. I do believe in the energy that you put into the world. I believe I actually believe in ghosts, because but not like it's what I believe is that it's a projection of energy. And like you leave a footprint in the sand, it's a footprint.
Right. A recording.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Like you can record on a phonograph. It's possible that you can record energy into rock or any type of material. I'm just shooting the shit here, but I don't know enough about it. But it is. I would think logically it would be possible to do that. If you can record on a phonograph, you could do that too.
Exactly what is it about that makes a photograph work? If you can project light onto a material, and that material absorbs the reflection of the light, so that you could see a perfect mirror image of what it was pointed at.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is leaving energy. It's leaving a mark of energy on another surface.
Yeah.
So, and the point of that though is that like you're saying, if you bought that letter and you had that letter sitting in your house, you have something. Something that evil energy was poured into on purpose.
Right.
Fucking by a demon.
Right.
You've brought a demon into your house.
Right.
I believe that.
and even if you wanted to take it on a psychological level, even if you've read that letter, it had to have done something to you. Think about that. You've taken in information that was in that letter. information of that evil, and you've encoded it in here.
I mean, just
How
reading it
these-
here, it's disturbing. Beware,
Yeah.
there is 2 women I want here. They are bastards, and I mean to have them. My knife is still in good order. It is a student's knife, and I hope you like the half of kidney. It's so grimy. It's so dirty. Like to actually see that in front of you in the handwriting.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
fucked up.
That is fucked up. And the whole thing with H.H. Holmes and why that's intriguing is because the guy was making a living selling skeletons to universities. And what they were saying is that his skeletons were the best ones because they were very lifelike. That's what they were writing letters to him, and he was like, "Okay, well, I'll just keep doing this."
Yeah, and he was definitely killing people and using that to make his fortune.
Yeah, and he was skinning them, and so is it possible that he could have taken a ship to England because he felt that English people were different and he wanted to see what their skeletons were like? It's possible.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
possible.
I mean, well, the thing is, too, is that, like people like that.
Yeah.
It's the power trip. It's the ultimate power trip, the ultimate power over life itself. And that's why they do that. So, like, and he, what you do, I mean, would he kill 206 people in the house itself?
At least.
Crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
That they know about.
Yeah.
One guy, I mean, he built a whole house just to murder people.
Yeah.
Like every room in the house was meant to murder people.
Yeah.
Chambers you couldn't get out of it. Go crazy shit. Like a fucking mad genius, but fucking nuts.
Right.
I don't know. I forgot where I go with that. There you go. There you have it.
Well, it's possible that he might have been the one. And if the handwriting matches at 97.95%, what does that say? I mean, at the very least, it means he wrote the letter. At the very least, he wrote a letter pretending to be, Jack the Ripper. At the most, he is Jack the Ripper. So
this is
it's fascinating.
It is fascinating, but it's a little stressful, and it's to lighten the mood. We'll finish up with this one. Staring at boobs is an easy way to make men live longer. Did you know that? Well, staring at boobs creates positive mindset in men.
I had a feeling because I thought maybe that my immune system might be the strongest thing in the world, and I think that I might live to be about 400 years old.
That's all you do is stare at boobs?
Yeah, because that's all I've done my entire life. So
it's frowned upon now. So I don't know what we're gonna do now because women, the Me Too movement, they're actually gonna kill us because they're not even gonna let us stare at boobs anymore. Staring at boobs is gonna be illegal now. But it creates the same effect that you have when you look at cute animals. So for men, staring at boobs or staring at cute animals is the same. To us, they are cute animals.
I've always felt so. I've always felt that way.
So, but they did a study in 2012 looking at the positive effects of positive thinking. And there's a direct connection between positive thinking and making healthy choices. So while they're doing the study from dudes staring at boobs, more than half the men with heart disease increased their physical activity, and more than 40% with high blood pressure started taking their medication.
I love this study. This is great.
Yeah, awesome. But also sex also decreases a man's mortality rate by as much as 50%.
I thought I heard that somewhere. Now, is it because you're I don't want to get too grotesque here, but like an ejaculation is considered, you're.
It's probably part
dispensing,
of it. It's probably part of it, but you're also it's also a full body workout.
Right.
I mean, depending on how long you go, I mean, it's a full body workout. You're holding yourself up. You're not just, unless you're lazy slobbing, you're just laying there. I mean, you're holding yourself up. You're moving yourself. You're doing a lot of motion. Right. You're actually,
it's like cardio. Yeah.
It's a lot of cardio. It really is. So it is for however long you last. If it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes of straight cardio.
So it's really good for the heart.
Yeah,
It's got
yeah.
it makes sense. So the circulation, I
But
guess it
also,
makes sense, but
but also too though, because sex it releases stress. So it's also a stress reliever too. So and you know, stress
right,
is the
right,
worst thing on your body. So it's the worst thing for your heart. It's the worst thing for you.
right.
Stress will kill you faster than anything
Yeah,
else in all kinds of
absolutely,
crazy ways. You know.
absolutely.
So yeah. So between releasing the stress and doing the physical exercise, but also, you know, a body in motion stays in motion. The more you're moving around, the more you can move around other things. It just
Right.
creates a perpetual cycle. Plus, you're getting laid. You're thinking, I got to keep up my body in shape so I can keep getting laid. But it's actually not true. If a dad bod is actually good for you, having a dad bod actually makes you more attractive to women, apparently.
Is that what they're saying nowadays?
Well, it's probably actually true. I mean, the one thing they said about having a dad bod is that, again, another thing about stress. You know, you're not like, maybe you're not as worried about that kind of shit.
Right, right,
You know, and but you're not physically straining yourself, and you're not putting yourself in dangerous situations like men tend to do.
right, right,
But as far as the women find you more attractive, yeah,
right,
I
right.
don't think it's that so much that they find you more attractive, but I have a theory on this, and I
Yeah,
believe that it's been confirmed, and I was told that I was right. Um, Women, you know, they have the anti-slut defense, and it
right.
makes sense because, like we talked about the biology with Brett Weinstein, um, for a man, the sexual the evolutionary jackpot for a man is to impregnate a woman and then not have to take care of the baby,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Um, where's I going with that?
You were talking about the dead bod.
Right. So okay. So and you know about value, right?
Right,
Right. So a woman might want to sleep with a guy, but she also has to guarantee that he's going to stay around to raise the baby, right? But if the guy is too good looking, right,
right,
she's going to think that he's not going to stay with her, that she's going to go off and, you know,
right,
impregnate other
right,
girls and not take care of the baby
right,
because he
right,
can.
right,
So a woman, and that's going to make her self conscious all the time about, oh well, what if I'm not the best? What do you mean I'm not the best? What do you mean he might go out there and fuck other women? What do you mean he might
right,
text and take care of my babies? I can't have sex with this
right,
guy. So a woman would purposely not sleep with men they find attractive, who they want to have sex with, because they find them attractive. They want to have sex with them because they don't want to lose value if he goes after somebody else,
right, right,
because they don't want to get biologically, because they don't want this guy to knock them up and leave.
right.
So they want the dad bod guy because they
He's
actually want,
attainable.
huh?
He's attainable.
Exactly. He's attainable and he's
Right,
tameable. He's already
right,
tamed.
right,
Now they want the guy that they can tame, and you know, they want to tame the guy. That's the ultimate fantasy. That's why Beauty and the Beast is the ultimate fantasy. That they tame the savage beast and he turns into their prince. You know, he
right,
gives them
right,
everything they ever wanted. You know what I mean?
right,
And that's,
right,
I mean, think about a chick fantasy. That's it right there.
right.
You know, a chick fantasy. I guess that's probably gonna get me banned in fucking 7 states.
About 49 these days.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it makes sense that they would want a guy with a dad bod because he's not so hot that he's going to go running off for any that he can go run off and get anybody he wants. So she can
Right,
kind of control the situation,
right,
and she has the upper hand. She has more value in that situation. But if he's
right,
making
right,
money now, if he's got the dad bod, but he's making money to provide, well, you're providing, but I'm still equal because I'm providing
right,
too.
right. There's
If
that
you,
balance. There's
yeah,
that balance in your universe right there.
yep, it makes
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
God forbid that he's providing and he's good looking and she doesn't think that she's, you know, she thinks he can go out because he will.
Right, right, right. Like and has one of those jobs that makes it takes them on the road or whatever, and then all of
Of
a
course,
sudden, you know,
because let's face it, because if you're having one of those jobs where you're able to pull that off, where you're taken care of, you know, you're out on the road a lot anyway.
right, right,
It is what it is. They go hand in hand. It's just like
right.
if you want to get to the hierarchy, you got to put it. You got to put
You
in the 10,000 hours.
right. Yeah, there you go. You best not know what your husband is doing at that point. Ignorance is bliss, like
But
be Tony Soprano's wife from The Sopranos.
But now at the same time, and I actually, I guess I'm an egalitarian in the sense. I actually do believe this is true, though, even though biologically, it is not true for specific survival reasons. But nowadays, because we've, thrown that on its head, and it does from a equality point of view and from a societal point of view, it makes sense. Who's making love to your old lady while you're out making love?
Right. 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 For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Right.
I'm never amazed at how often I use Newton's laws of motion
Well, it's
to
everywhere.
describe psychology.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everything is pretty much a dichotomy, believe it or not. Everything, there's, everything we've talked about today, there's something up here, there's something down here. And then you turn it on its head and it's like this, and it's like this. That it's everywhere we look. It's the yin yang symbol. It's the dichotomy of things. It's Newton's law. It's all of those things are really the same.
It's duality. The duality of man.
Yeah. Everything is really that. It's telling you that.
Well, that's what, I'm really interested now. Again, Peterson with the religious aspect, I'm really interested in how he's talking that we don't know what consciousness is, right? They have no idea. They have no concept of what consciousness is. And it seems to be, and it makes sense because, and he's talking about in the idea of God, right? That God can have everything. There are no limits to God, right? Right. And what consciousness is specifically it's limitation. It's knowing your limitations. That's what consciousness is, having limitations and knowing what they are.
Right.
But you can't have that if you're an omnipotent being that's out there everywhere. Like if you're a free-flowing spirit, you can't have that because you really have no limitations.
Right, right.
You need body in order to have consciousness. You have to be physically attached to something and not free-floating in order to have those limitations.
Yeah.
In order to have consciousness. And like things like religions, things like the Bible is your map that comes strictly from your consciousness. I mean, where the thoughts come from. Nobody knows. Universal mind, right? What the fuck is universal mind? It's the free floating spirits in the world that you have no idea what they are.
Exactly. There's the tangible and the intangible.
And specifically, like it's all like none of it actually exists except for through consciousness. You need consciousness to perceive any of it.
Right.
But what is it? Nobody knows.
Right.
I was bringing it back to like tripping acid. I was telling my wife about tripping acid.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, we were having this conversation. And it's like at the beginning, you're waiting for it to kick in. You're waiting for a long time for it to kick in. And it doesn't, it takes forever. You're like, and then it finally hits you. You're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Whoa. And it takes you a while to get things start shifting on you. Like your perception of the room changes. You go to a different environment. You walk out of the room, you go into a different environment, and it's a completely different situation, a completely different feel. And you're like, whoa, what's this? And you got to get used to it,
Right.
And then you try to do simple things that you normally would always do, and you can't do them because things are kind of off kilter. They're kind of like, it's not working for you the way you want it. You get frustrated, and you can have a bad trip, and you have a bad trip, and just horrible. Some people don't even recover from that.
Right.
But then you hit a point where you're like, all the secrets of the universe, where you're like totally relaxed and all of everything there is to know. And then you forget it as you start sobering up and you start coming down, right? But then by the time you're done, by the time you're out of it and it's all worn off, you're tired. And your teeth are grinding, you have a headache, and you feel like you want to sleep for 3 days. And you do, basically. One night of tripping for the next 3 days, you don't do shit. You're done. You're done.
Right.
What is life? In the beginning, you're a kid. You don't know what's going on. You're waiting for something to happen. You are rushing through your life. I feel like you're fucking forever. God, when is this going to happen? And then life happens. And at first, it's great. It's, whoa, what is this? But then it starts you start moving into one stage after another, one place after another, and you don't know what the fuck it is. It's a complete vibe. You have to get used to it again.
Right.
And then you hit a point where, maybe, okay, you're relaxed and you understand everything that's going on. And if, okay, it feels good. But then you forget everything that you knew.
Right. Right,
and
right, right.
it, you start getting to the end of it, and it starts hurting, and you have a headache, and you're tired, and you've had enough, and you just want to go to bed. Life is
Right, right,
one real long fucking acid trip.
right, right, right. Wow, that's amazing. It's interesting because like when you're a kid and they used to tell you like they used to give you a number and they say, okay, divide it by zero, right? They used to say like, what's 1 divided by 0? And then the common answer would be, oh, it's 0. That's actually not true. That's it. It's actually, the answer is really undefined.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
infinity.
yeah, right. Because I mean, think about that in life. I mean, that's the one thing that math does not know. Think about that. There's so many other things that math can quantify. Math doesn't know the answer to that question. Math doesn't even know how to ask the question. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how crazy whatever that is. That's how like it's so unfathomable with this whatever that is, that it can't even figure out the right question to ask in order to answer. So the one being the unit of measure that we use to find all things, right? So 1 being the thing and 0 being no thing, the nothing, and there's no way to quantify that and figure it out. So I mean, that's how incredible the universe, the multiverse, whatever the hell you want to call this thing, that's how incredible that is that we can't even find the right question so that we can answer it. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think it's time to cut out. But it's a good thing to leave people to think about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, on that note,
All right.
have a good night, folks. Check us out on YouTube and on SoundCloud. Mad TMC, The Garage. That's how it's spelled. We pronounce it The Garage. And check out my books. You can find them at Amazon.com. Mad Presents VPI The Saga Begins. A Loaded Portrait or The Beer Whisperer. Walt, you have anything you want to add?
I love what you said. We don't know what we don't know. So let's leave it with that.
We don't know what we don't know. That's actually Megyn Kelly. Talk about Tom Brokaw. Me too.
Perfect.
Me too, baby. Have a good night, folks.